And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really delighted to be having a conversation with Matt Franks, who is event director at DRPG, and I'm going to be introducing him properly in a minute. And we're going to actually be talking about something different today, so a little bit different from our usual Diversity Alliance kind of conversations around lived experience, etc., because I really want to highlight and speak about a really important initiative that has been running within the events industry for around 18 months probably now. Yeah, probably about 18 months. And it's super important. And I feel like the word needs to be spread a little bit more around what we're doing, those who are involved, and the impact of this. And I know I sound really cryptic, but I will be sharing more in just a second. So as usual, my name is Gabby, and I'm going to explain what I'm wearing, what I look like, and a bit of my background. I'm wearing a black roll neck jumper today. I've got a little gold chain on, got long dark hair, wearing red lipstick, and got brown skin. Behind me, I have my plant Chaz, and beige wall, nothing else really very exciting behind me. So that is essentially me today. So actually, before I move on to a little bit more around what the Reach Scholarship actually is, Matt, why don't you at least introduce yourself so we're not keeping you a secret and hiding you away?
Thanks, Gabby. It's great to be here today, and I'm very excited to have our chat. So I'm Group Director of Events at DRP Group, so a global communications agency working with many brands, delivering all sorts of different events and experiences. And we're very fortunate that we have lots of our resources in-house, so we have an amazing opportunity for people working within our organisation, because often they come in at one end and then they go through the business and end up coming out a different end and doing lots of different roles. It's very exciting. And today I'm in our London Covent Garden office, and it's a bright red room with lots of stripes behind me. And similar to you, I'm also wearing a roll neck, a blue one. I think it's because it's wintry where I've come from today. But other than that, I'm just delighted to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for introducing yourself, Matt. And we're going to catch up with you in just a second. But I thought I'd better give a bit of a background to the Reach Events Management Scholarship Initiative. And essentially it came around, and I actually wasn't involved in the initial conversation, but it actually kind of kick-started from a conversation on Clubhouse. So who remembers Clubhouse? Yes, so it was a conversation around the talent pipeline into the events industry. Martin Fullard was hosting it. Robert Kenwood, who is a recruiter within the events industry, was part of the conversation as well as Jonathan Sibley, who's a senior lecturer of events management at Manchester Metropolitan University. And they were having the discussion around essentially the talent pipeline and also diversity into our industry, because as we started realizing there wasn't a huge amount of diversity in the events and kind of even in the hospitality industry and those kind of more kind of like leadership roles, as it were. People were sort of saying, well, there's not really any diversity to hire or to promote. And we were like, well, there has to be a way to address that. And Jonathan actually kind of mentioned, obviously, that the university has different programs, scholarship programs, etc. And he also mentioned that actually on event management degrees, the dropout rate is higher for the Black, Asian and minority ethnic students, which is super interesting. And when they did some kind of feedback around this, apparently it was mainly down to living costs, which was super, super interesting. Robert pointed out that he was a little bit kind of irritated by there's no diversity in our industry, or being asked to find a diverse candidate for a role. And literally the only way he could find people is by pinching the little amount of diversity that already existed in the industry. And like, maybe you like put them forward for another role, which isn't really the way we want to go. We can't just keep moving diversity around different companies, right? That's not really improving representation. So obviously I specialize in DEI in the events industry. A lot of work that I do and have done with clients is around recruitment, inclusive recruitment, looking at the talent pipeline, etc., and looking at how we can get more diversity in the industry. And there was a really interesting statistic, actually. It came about from a survey that took place maybe a little bit before the Clubhouse conversation around the diversity in the events industry. And it wasn't a survey about diversity, it was a survey about inclusion and gender equality and various things. So it wasn't specifically around that. But the stats show that only 10% of the industry come from Black, Asian or minority ethnic background. And actually around 3.5% of the industry, are Black. When we look at the kind of representation in the UK of the population, it's around 14% people who are Black. So we're really not kind of measuring up to, what our population actually is. So I think people were quite shocked by that. I wasn't, but people were quite shocked. And so then we started having conversations. Robert brought me on board as Diversity Alliance, and we spoke with Jonathan, Martin, Priya, Naren as well. And we were like, what can we do about this? We thought actually perhaps the event management scholarship route could work. So Reach Events Management Scholarship was born. It basically is supporting students through their living costs whilst they're at university, and then also supporting them once they come out in the industry. So we don't get those dropout rates. And we had the first set of students start this year, and they got their scholarships this year. So that's super exciting. And that was at Manchester Metropolitan University. And next year's university is University of Hertfordshire. And I'll be announcing the university after that very, very soon. I don't think I can announce it yet. I haven't done the press release, but there's another university involved. But the reason why Matt is here is actually because DRPG were very much one of the first organisations that sort of said, we 100% want to be involved in this initiative. We want to support the scholarship program, alongside, a few other agencies, but DRPG was straight out there, straight down the track and supporting the program and supporting us in helping to deliver that, which we're eternally grateful for, obviously. So let's bring Matt into the conversation now. So Matt, would you mind sharing with us a little bit around why DRPG really wanted to be involved with this initiative?
Yeah, I think for a lot of the reasons you've already cited, there's very much a lack of diversity in the creative industry. For us as a business, our strapline is anything's possible. And to make anything's possible, it's all about people. And people need to come from all sorts of backgrounds and to be able to bring challenge and experiences and different views and opinions. And I think we could see the problems in front of us around the creative industry and the lack of ethnic minority representation. And so for us, when Reach came about, it was that moment of going, this is exactly what we need. And we were absolutely on board and wanting to support that. And I think when you talk about what it's enabling people to do, it's enabling someone to have that same experience as others. And so they can continue, they don't need to drop out because they are able to go and do maybe unpaid work placement because they have some extra cash that can afford them to be able to do that. And those are really important moments because I think we know in this industry, as much as it is about great education, it's also about the practical doing and the experience. So to give everyone a fair chance, we felt that the Reach program enables them to do that, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think, we're very invested in DE&I within our organisation and what we need to do around it. And we're constantly learning and doing more. And this is just one of the things that we needed to be part of. And I think I'd advocate many people being part of it because it's superb. And in fact, seeing some of the quotes from individuals, it's really lovely. And I mean, you probably know them better than I do, but it's great to see what a difference it's made.
Yeah, it really, really is. And actually, I'm, going to kind of throw this curveball question at you a little bit. It'd be really cool to know maybe some of the other things that DRPG are doing with regards to their DEI kind of strategy around sort of supporting talent, next gen talent, diverse talent, etc. Because I know the Reach scholarship isn't the only thing that you're doing.
Definitely. And so from that point of view, we have a next gen board. And that helps us make sure that we're keeping our eyes open and it's bringing a different opinion and a viewpoint that we may not be considering, because equally as a board, we're focused on running the business and you need to make sure that we're also aware of what else is happening around us. We have huge programs around our employee engagement. We're doing a lot of work around that and we've still got a lot of work to do. One of the things that we've done recently is a D&I survey internally, and we've been really, really pleased with the results. We've only just had the results this week, so we're working through what does that mean, and then having open and honest conversations. How do we move forward? What can we implement? What isn't practical to implement at the moment? This is going to be something that evolves all the time. And if I think back to sustainability, it was big on everybody's agenda. And actually we've led the way in terms of, we've had the Queen's Award and we've done an awful lot of work around it. But if we think around what this is doing, it's a nice balance. Because for sustainability, you need people, planet, profit. That's what we go by. And this is the people element that needs to be everybody's focus. And we work by the UN sustainability goals, and doing all the things that we're doing is helping us look and say, are we doing enough? How are we measuring it? And what are we getting? So we're not getting it absolutely right, but we've got more work to do. And it's very much part of our process of how we improve. You mentioned about making sure we have a diverse workforce, and I think one of the things that the pandemic has done for many businesses, not just this industry, because in fact this industry was quite a good mobile work ethic anyway, remote work ethic. I think what the pandemic's done is allowed us to forget geographical boundaries. And with geographical boundaries often comes restrictions to diversity and to ethnic minority groups. And as a result of that, you would hope that you would see access to wider groups because it doesn't matter where people are based. I don't necessarily think we're seeing it as much as we should be at the moment. And there are going to be greater reasons for that, and more work needs to be done, which is why I love this kind of program.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. There's 2 points I'd like to touch on there. One was that I know that you are actually super far ahead as an organization with regards to sustainability. You've been looking at this for many years before it became like fashionable. And I know you've won awards in this area. And I'm really glad that you've also highlighted about the sustainability goals, UN sustainability goals, because I think some people forget that there is a people element in that around equality, gender equality, etc. And sometimes that people bit does get forgotten. So I'm really pleased that you highlighted that. And then the final thing as well was around, as you said, with perhaps us being more kind of mobile and shouldn't be kind of like stuck with regards to finding talent in our geographic locations. I wholeheartedly agree with you there, because I'm not sure if I'm seeing companies making use of that at the moment. I've had organizations come to me and sort of say, I'm not going to name places in case I drop any companies in it, but I'm in so-and-so location and there's no diversity in our area and we just can't seem to attract the people. And that just comes down to a wider piece of looking at the communities that you're involved with, your outreach, your brand, your reputation, the actual recruitment and interview process, acknowledging any biases that might exist in the process, looking at the employee life cycle, all of those things. And those are things that need addressing, which you kind of, I guess you were like touching upon, Matt.
And don't get me wrong, we've been there, because I think you would question it, and we were in Worcestershire and bases in London, you would still scratch your head and be like, I'm not sure this is the full representation. And through the process and the journey we're embarking on, we're noticing, we're changing some of our behaviours and some of what we're trying to do to approach that. And as I said earlier, we're on our journey. By no means are we getting this right. I don't think any business is, if I'm honest. I think it's constantly going to be something that it's just ever present.
We're not even getting
and we can always improve.
Right, so.
Well,
anyway.
and so I think, but actually, when you think about what our very nature of what it is that we do, and I'm very passionate about this, we design experiences for all people, no matter what background. And I think we have to be fully inclusive. And again, that's a huge struggle for everybody. And I the other day, and whether it's right or wrong, I was horrified because somebody presented a tick list. I was like, this isn't a tick list exercise. And I know why we do it, because people like actionable things and they like evidence to say we did these things and we considered these things as part of our design program. But I think you can get yourself caught up in knots and you can miss some of the very basics. And so what we're trying to do is a behavioral change and a mindset change, like we did for sustainability. Let's educate, let's understand, let's experience, and let's face into some of those challenges, so that when we're thinking of D&I as part of our everyday life, it's not just our recruitment, it's also what our products are, our solutions, our experiences that we deliver, and how we execute them on the ground.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And to close off our quick chat today, we are encouraging some organisations to join and be part of the Reach Scholarship Initiative and programme. And we are looking for 2 more donors for next year's intake, actually. But if you could sort of say why you think other organisations should think about taking part or being part of the Reach Scholarship Initiative, would you be happy to perhaps share why?
Yeah, of course. I guess you could look at it in one way. There's no direct benefit to you as an organization. You don't have a person arrive in the building for a period of time. But what it does do is it shows that you are thinking about succession, you're thinking about next gen, and you're able to invest in the greater good of our industry and make it more diverse, because that will bring a better quality output for everybody. And surely we've all got a responsibility to do that. And beyond that, I think for our team, what we've tried to do is actually create a bit of a buddy system, a bit like a city twinning, if you like, where it can be a shared experience. And we do a lot of apprenticeship programs, and they might be running concurrently with somebody that's at university. And so if we can create those connections, you're immediately going to get new exposure to new thinking, new thought processes. And I think it's a great way of showing you're progressive as an organization. Definitely do it.
Thank you. Thank you for ending on that fantastic positive note. And thank you so much for your time, Matt. I look forward to catching up soon.
No worries. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So if you're watching or listening to this and you'd like to know how to get involved, then please do contact me, Gabby at Diversity Alliance, or you can hop onto the Reach Events Management Scholarship website. I'm going to pop all the links and email addresses to reach out and also get more information in the description for this video. And we'll be happy to take you through the process, the benefits, the impact, because it's such an exciting project and initiative to be involved in. So from a practical perspective, the scholarship is a tax-deductible gift commitment of £15,000 over the 3 years, which will fund an events management scholarship. And as I said, this is £15,000 over 3 years, so it's a £5,000 per year commitment. And we want to support as many people as we can to be able to complete their event management degree, or even start their event management degree by offering that additional support. But also, whilst obviously financial support is really important, it's also beneficial that disadvantaged students also get that additional support. So we really do encourage that alongside sort of like giving your money to this program. It's not just to kind of throw money at it, ta-ra sort of situation. It's very much them being involved in recipients' kind of future and development as well. So as I mentioned, I'm going to pop some links in the description for you. And we are looking for a minimum of 2 more donors for next year's intake. So if you want to come to the House of Lords, joking, if you want an invite to some fun, cool events, please reach out and offer your support to this wonderful program. Thanks for joining.